Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 3 of season 3 of Sherlock, called His Last Vow. This is of course our season finale, and all in all I would have to say that it does not disappoint. This wasn't quite exactly a tear your hair out, run around the room screaming oh my god, oh my god, oh my god kind of cliffhanger like we got last time around. Okay, this is a oh yeah, now it's on kind of ending, you know. So I still found that to be quite satisfying. And honestly, I seriously doubt I'm the only one who just kind of wondered, maybe Moriarty might still come back one day, because as great as season 2 was, just one season of Sherlock Holmes versus Moriarty, it just doesn't seem right. And of course, we've been getting these little cameos by him in the first and third episode of this season. So, nice little foreshadowing there. Even though, it was easily to understand that this was just. It was very easy to believe this was just the creators having a little bit of fun with us, rather than actually hinting at anything in the future. Although now we have to look at that and wonder if, well, obviously Moriarty is going to be back next season, but in episode 2, instead of a Moriarty cameo, we got an Irene Adler cameo. So, does that mean that she's going to be back next season? Well, I seriously doubt there are many people out there who would be terribly upset by that. And given the events of this episode, it's clear that Sherlock is apparently no longer a virgin. Well, what does that mean if Irene Adler comes back into the mix? Well, time will tell. It always does. And yes, that is a quote from Doctor Who. Fourth Doctor. Love that quote. Anyway, getting back into things. One thing I liked this episode was we got some really nice stuff from Mycroft. Of course, there's him, being a big jerk, and there's a whole, look afraid and scurry out. Man, Mycroft. In the series, it's always been basically stated that Mycroft actually genuinely is smarter than Sherlock. But it does continue to show us that the Holmes boys still seriously lack social skills in any way, shape, or form. And one thing that's interesting about Mycroft this episode is he talks about losing a brother, sort of implying that there might have been another Holmes brother. Now, I don't think this was from the stories that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote, but they did out there in some of the other stories that other people wrote about Sherlock Holmes. They added in Sherringford Holmes, who was supposed to be Mycroft's older brother, and actually even smarter than Mycroft. Now, I don't really know how I feel about them doing that. But, hey, what the hell, right? It's not like this show could really get much crazier. So, I guess we'll see. Although, personally, I just think that going too far from the source material is not really something I'm big on, but I'm not the biggest Holmes fanatic in the world, so it's something I can let slide as long as they're able to whip a good story out of it. And speaking of Mycroft, I certainly was really just floored when he kind of says to Sherlock, if he were to die, that it would break his heart. And Sherlock even basically chokes on his cigarette when he hears him say that. And that's what's interesting about Mycroft is, Magnuson really does have it pegged. Sherlock is Mycroft's one real weakness. And as much crap as Mycroft gives Sherlock is really the only person in the world who can understand what it's like to be Mycroft. They're both people who operate on such a high level above everybody else. There's so few people out there that Mycroft and Sherlock can really genuinely relate to. And, well, other people on that list are Magnuson, Irene Adler, and Moriarty. And, well, we've seen how well that ended. And as much as they might try and deny their emotions, the Holmes boys do have people they genuinely care about. And for Mycroft, that one special person is his brother. And for Sherlock, well, obviously Sherlock cares for Mycroft, but that one person is John Watson. And in a lot of ways, this season has really been all about John Watson. Now, of course, we can't see the entire series from his perspective. I mean, it's literally Sherlock's name on the door, basically, with this series. But John and John's relationship with Sherlock, that's what's really at the heart of everything. Now, of course, the whole Holmes-Watson relationship, that's a big deal in a lot of Sherlock Holmes fiction. And it's always been a big deal here. But look at the first episode. It's all about reconnecting with John, getting John to forgive him, really getting the band back together. And the next episode is about, Sherlock and John now adding Mary to that mix. And Sherlock making that vow, his last vow, his first vow, his only vow. And that great speech he gave about how it is John's friendship that is truly the only thing that has redeemed him. And now we come to this episode. Now, you remember, I believe it was first seasons, someone, the somewhat bitchy lady cop, I think it might have been, said, one day there's going to be a body on the ground, and it's going to be Sherlock Holmes that put him there. And, well, she might have been right. Now, I don't know. I can't help but think that maybe there's more to what's going on here than what we've seen. I mean, this really just feels like such a setup for basically kind of what we got in the first episode around, where we find out that everything is really not what it seems to be. But in any case, this episode we see, again, just how far Sherlock is willing to go for John. And it gets confirmed for us that how far will he go also applies to Mary. I mean, after everything that happens, Sherlock and Mary are there at the end, and they're still cool with each other. And this is the woman that shot him. But then again, Sherlock doesn't exactly hold a grudge against the woman who dragged his name through the mud in the tabloids, because, well, he was using her as well. I have to say, that scene was quite amusing. And I know I'm really going kind of left field with this one, but given how many parallels kind of people have sort of drawn over the more recent years between Sherlock and the Doctor, I couldn't help but look at Jenny and just think, she's evil Amy Pond. But that might just be me, which is, considering that, looking at that train of thought, I'm really honestly amazed that I've had absolutely no alcohol at all tonight. Perhaps I should fix that. I've got some wine and some really nice Japanese stuff in the fridge. Yep, I think tonight calls for some hooch. Anyway. Just to be clear, if you're not familiar with American slang, that means alcohol. That does not mean anything sexual. Yeah, we're just going to leave it at that. But anyway, yeah, getting back onto some reasonable train of thought, let's see. Okay, so the whole thing with Mary, yeah, maybe we should talk about Mary. She was somewhat important to the plot this time around. Well, okay, I have to admit, as soon as they said, it's not a politician lady. Like, I'm like, wait a second, didn't John say that Mary wears that Claire de Lune perfume? I'm like, no way. Yeah, yes way, Ted, it's Mary. And I really like their point where they just get to John and say to him, like, dude, you like hanging out with people who are basically sociopaths. Look at who your best friend is. Look at who you chose to marry. And John is a smart enough guy that you can't help but think that maybe that he did really pick up on these little subtle things and saw those tendencies in Mary and didn't even realize it. But if you look back on it, we did really notice a few things about her. Like Sherlock points out, she knew what a skip code was. And I remember seeing that in the first episode and thinking, like, I'm not even 100% sure I know what a skip code is. How does she know this? But, yeah. So it's one of those really great things. It's a really wonderful hallmark of good writing where you can look back and see all the clues were actually there. Oh wait, there were some clues, but there's there's more to Mary than meets the eye. To Mary was apparently basically an assassin at some point. So yeah, I mean, this kind of feels like a big cheat in some ways, sort of like last episode, where technically you gave us the clues, but the leap of logic needed to put it all together was just so out there as to basically be impossible. But so out there as to basically be impossible, but still cool, well, that's kind of the trademark of Sherlock. And as long as you're willing to grant the show that, then of course, it's fabulous. And I gotta say, I did like this season quite a bit. It seemed to be a lighter season than last time around. As I said, the focus on John, I think that sort of changed the energy of the series. So, a change in the tone, becoming a little bit more humorous. That's pretty cool. Not a whole lot to say about Magnuson. I did get a kick out of them calling him the Napoleon of blackmail. Obviously, this is a nod to Moriarty's title in the books as the Napoleon of crime. And having that come up is actually, in retrospect, a nice little way of foreshadowing Moriarty's return. So, definitely looking forward to more Sherlock. I'm really hoping we don't have to wait 2 years for this, but c'est la vie, right? In any case, folks, it's been fun going on this little ride with you. And until next time, take care and have a good one.